Hello, 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 and welcome back to Spin Cycle Live. I'm your host, Nathan Hale. We have so much to cover today with so little time. Hope you're all doing so good. Today is Wednesday, February 26th. I believe our last show of February. When I see you next, it'll be March. Can't believe it. You know, January felt like it was like 9 months long, and February feels like it was about like 10 days long, and now March is here. So I don't even know like where we are in the timeline right now, but it doesn't feel like we're about to be in March. Thank God the weather has gotten nicer, at least here in the Midwest. But how are you all doing? I hope you all are doing so good. Thank you so much for coming and joining us for the next, 30 or so minutes while we cover these fantastic stories. If I do say so myself, I spend lots of time curating these stories for you all, and I hope that you appreciate all the love and care that goes into finding just the right little sugar and spice to make your day so nice, right? So, let's get right into it. So, our first story of the day comes out of New York. So, Governor Kathy Hochul, that broad, so she's sending a message to all of the people that are being impacted by the Doge firings, layoffs, retirements, whatever you want to call them. She's saying, hey, if you come to New York, we're going to hire you. We're going to hire you in this state of New York. Now, just some brief recap here. So what's happening in Doge right now is they sent out a memo, I believe, to like a ton of government employees, just asking like, hey, give us some bullet points here on what exactly have you been doing here? And I believe they sent it out to almost every government employee, if not all of them. And that was to give them some feedback on number one, if people were even doing their jobs, such as like reading their emails, right? And number two, what exactly have they been doing? And the people that really haven't been doing anything, I think they're getting sacked, which like fair reason, right? Why are we keeping dead weight around the federal government, right? I have no sympathy for these people whatsoever, right? My tax dollars should not be going to subsidize you sitting on your couch all day with your feet up, watching TV and doing nothing, right? So, but the governor's like, you know what? We'll take all of you bums. We'll take the lazy people. We'll take all of you who have been DEI hires, who were to meet diversity and gender quotas. We don't care. Come to our state here in New York. We'll take care of you. So let's read the story. So it's from CBS News. So New York Governor Kathy Hochul wants to hire federal employees who've been fired as a result of cuts spearheaded by Elon Musk's Doge Department of Government Efficiency. Quote, the federal government might say, you're fired. See what you did there? But here in New York, we'll say, you're hired. Whoa, right? Comedic genius Kathy Hochul out here, right? In fact, we love federal workers, Hochul said in a message posted on X. I think that Kathy Hochul might be the only person ever to say that she likes federal workers, right? When's the last time you walked into you walked into a federal office or you had to deal with the government and you walked out of the situation being like, man, I really hope that employee has a great rest of their day. They like solved all my problems in a timely manner and they got me right on my way. I don't think anyone in the history of ever has said that about a federal employee before. So let's move on. So she encouraged fired federal employees to check out a list of available state jobs. So the state of New York is going to run even more inefficiently with hiring on all of these workers that got sacked, right? Because let's be clear, the federal government, we're not firing our best here, right? Which means that New York is getting the worst, right? New York's already not a great state to be in already, and then on top of that, they're hiring all these workers, right? I mean, how awful is your life right now if you live in New York and you're thinking, man, my tax dollars, my state tax dollars are going to start going to paying all these employees who weren't even good enough for the federal government, let alone the state government, right? So that's all I gotta say about that. But I saw that story, I'm like, whoa, this is insane. This is wild. Yeah, it's one thing if we're talking about workers who are being fired for no reason, right? Or workers who have good skill sets about them, right? These are workers who weren't doing anything all day, right? These were the DEI hires, right? So I don't know, just something. So let's move on to our next story. So straight out of the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court seems poised to lower the bar for reverse discrimination suits. I don't know what this gray bar up here. This is discriminating against their own article. Kind of cover it up. All right. So it's from Reuters. So Washington, so it's from today, February 26th, U.S. Supreme Court justices appeared to lean on Wednesday towards making it easier for people from, quote, majority backgrounds, such as white or straight people, to pursue workplace discrimination claims, as they heard an appeal by an Ohio woman who claimed she was denied a promotion and demoted because she was heterosexual. Bless her heart. The justices heard arguments in a case in which plaintiff Marlene Ames has, of course her name's Marlene, of course it is, asked them to revive her civil rights lawsuit against her employer. So Ohio's Department of Youth Services, after lower courts sided with the state. The justices, liberal and conservative alike, seem poised to throw out a ruling against Ames by the Cincinnati-based 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals and directed lower courts to reconsider the matter. Ames, who is 60, has argued that she was discriminated against in violation of a landmark federal anti-discrimination law. Ames said she has a gay supervisor in 2019 when she was passed over for a position in favor of a gay woman and demonstrated in favor and demoted in favor of a gay man. My God. So first she gets nixed for the promotion because of a lesbian, and now she's out here getting demoted because a man takes her job. Wow. Both of whom, she asserted, were less qualified than her. Ames sued in 2020 seeking monetary damages. You know what? Good for her. Good for her. I think it's funny whenever these articles are like, it's reverse discrimination, right? It's only discrimination if it's against people who aren't white or straight, but it's reverse discrimination if it's against white or straight people, right? I think that's so funny because it's not reverse discrimination. Any discrimination is just discrimination. It doesn't matter who it's against. There's no such thing as reverse discrimination, right? You that's not how it works. So, you know, good for Marlene, good for this woman. I'm proud of her. I hope the Supreme Court hears this case and rules in favor of her. If what she's saying is completely true, then that is entirely wrong, right? And it goes back to hiring people based on their merits, not based on their racial or sexual background or whatever it is, right? So I think this is great. You know, good for her. And I'd like to say that I feel like the left brought this onto themselves, right? When they started getting so caught up in only hiring and only promoting people, we heard the whole from American Airlines that they're bringing on 50% minority groups or whatever to be pilots of planes or something. It was one of those airlines, right? The left brought this on themselves. They should have seen this coming. I could have told you all the way back before all this even started that this was going to be the end result of this, right? The pendulum is swinging the other way, folks, right? You can't just go super hard left and not expect it to come swinging back to the right. There's only so far the pendulum will go before all of a sudden it gets too heavy and comes back to the center. And the pendulum swinging too far to the right is the topic of the next story. So, Michigan Republican lawmaker to introduce resolution asking SCOTUS to overturn marriage equality. So yet another state trying to get the Supreme Court to overturn the Marriage Equality Act that they ruled on a few years ago. First off, all right, let's read the story. I always get ahead of myself. I always want to start going off a little bit, and I have to read the story. Let me read the story first to you all, so you know what I'm talking about, and then let's dissect it a little bit more. All right. So, a Michigan state representative has announced his plan to introduce a resolution asking the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn marriage equality. Representative Josh Skyriver announced on X that he will be introducing the measure on Tuesday, urging the court to reverse Augerfeller v. Hodge, the landmark 2015 ruling that guaranteed same-sex couples the right to marry, stating that it is supposedly, quote, at odds with the sanctity of marriage, the Michigan Constitution, the principles upon which this country was established. That's always what they say. Sky River's resolution is non-binding, meaning it carries no legal weight. It has 12 co-sponsors in the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, but it would not be able to pass the Democrat-controlled Senate or be signed by Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Other states have introduced similar resolutions, but the Supreme Court has yet to agree to hear such a case again. There were several states, I think both North and South Dakota were both some of them. I know that Idaho was the one that was getting all of the attention, but who really cares about people's opinions in Idaho, right? This guy looks a little fruity, if we're being honest, for a second. Like, I know one when I see one, right? So this is a perfect example of all of a sudden, now that Republicans have won one federal election, now they think that all the eggs are in their basket and they do whatever they want, right? There is no reason to be going and trying to overturn these cases. First off, all of the people who are out here saying that, like, oh my gosh, this what did he say? What did he say? Let's read his quote again. He said that where is the line? At odds with the sanctity of marriage, the Michigan Constitution, the principles on which the country was established, right? All these people who are like so against like gay marriage and stuff, like it's not affecting you. Like go marry a woman if you want to, right? It rings to me as if like, oh, you're trying to overturn this because you might be a little bit you might be a little bit on the sexual spectrum yourself, sir, and you don't want to have that in your back pocket around. You're like, well, if I can't get married to a man, then I'm not gay, right? I don't know. I don't know if that goes through their head or not, but I think that these people are kind of nuts. And, the left is flipping out about this. I'm a little bit more neutral in this whole matter. I'm not really going to be all that worried or quaking in my boots until the Supreme Court actually picks up the case, which I'm not sure if they're doing not. I think that the case is settled. I don't think there's really a conflict happening here anymore. So I doubt that the Supreme Court will even pick up this case, but we will see. I mean, in the past, whenever there's been rulings on matters such as this, I've kind of agreed with them. I mean, the newest one I can think of is kind of the whole gay baker story, where if you're a gay couple, you can't just make a baker make a gay wedding cake for you, which I know the left flipped out about that one also, but I mean, honestly, that protects the bakeries more so, because what happens when you're a liberal owning a bakery and someone wants you to make a MAGA cake for them, right? You don't have to do that. So I feel like that was used very much to be like, oh my gosh, this is an attack on the gay community, when in reality it really wasn't. So I'll be interested to see where this goes going forward. Obviously, nothing's going to come out of Michigan. The governor would never allow it there. She's way too far left to go through any of this stuff, right? But Idaho has a chance. That's kind of the case that people are talking about, is the Idaho case. So look into that more. I would suggest, but I'm not concerned right now. I'm really not. Like I said, I don't want to sit here and speculate. I've seen a lot of people online speculate, oh, wow, this is how I think the Supreme Court rule on this. This is how I think they would rule on this, right? I'm not going to sit here and speculate and say what they're going to do, what they're not going to do. All I'm going to say is, like, I'm not going to be worried until they actually say they're going to hear the case or not. So, which I don't think they'll do, if I had to guess. But that's about all for that. So let's move right along. So little bit of interesting news coming out of the White House. So GOPers press for the release of JFK Epstein files. Here's why they're not out. Republicans are mounting pressure on the Justice Department to advance the release of classified documents and records related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy and other federal secrets. President Donald Trump signed an executive order in January for agencies to create plans to distribute the files as well as documents pertaining to the assassinations of Senator Robert F. Kennedy and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But Representative Anna Pauline Luna of Florida, who is leading the House Oversight Committee's task force on the declassification of federal secrets, is pushing the Department of Justice for answers on when that will happen. And so far, says she has faced silence. Quote, on February 11th and February 19th, House Oversight sent a letter to DOJ asking for status on the releasing the Epstein files, as well as the JFK. Etc. Luna said in a post on X on Monday. Quote, the DOJ has not responded, reaching out on X because we can't seem to get a response from anyone from the AG. At AG Pam Bondi, what is the status of the documents? These documents were ordered to be declassified. So, is that all okay, I have a little bit more. So Trump's executive order instructed the Department of Justice to coordinate with Gabbard, Walls, and Warrington to establish a plan by February 7th, so that date's already passed, it was a while ago, guys, for the release of the JFK files and to create a plan for the release of the MLK and Robert F. Kennedy files by March 9th. Meanwhile, Bondi said Friday that Epstein's client list was awaiting review and that she was looking over the Kennedy and King files. Quote, it's sitting on my desk right now to review, Bondi said, told America Reports host John Roberts Friday about the Epstein files. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm really going to be interested to see if and when these things do get released. You know, there's a lot of things out there that are kind of floating around right now that if it happens, it'll be like a massive win. And like, if that one single thing happens, like that would be the biggest accomplishment from that department in a long time, right? If they can release the MLK and RFK and JFK files for that matter, right? As well as the Epstein everything, that would be a massive accomplishment, and I'd be satisfied with that. That would satisfy me for 4 years. That's all they did in the 4 years. I'd be perfectly satisfied with that. Not that I think that will be all that they do, but just that on its own, I think, would be an accomplishment. So I'm interested to know why there hasn't been communication, though. Like the representative was saying, why hasn't there have been more communications to when exactly these are going to be coming out, what the timeline's looking like? I mean, we've heard nothing. I mean, the only thing we've heard is that the AG is looking at them right now, but what does that mean, right? Something can sit on your desk. Like I have papers sitting on my desk right now that have been here for a month, right? I haven't looked at them yet. So does that mean that they're being actively looked at right now and they're going to be coming in the next week or two? Does that mean that they haven't been looked at all and then we have several more months to wait? And when is this release plan going to be made public? That's what I want to know. So this is just a case of government not being transparent, in my opinion, and not telling us what's going on. You know, I'm always in favor of greater transparency, and I think that has been lacking in the federal government for decades now. So, I mean, they're talking about these action plans that they're putting together to release these documents. When are the action plans going to be released to us to be able to see, right? When are we going to know when the timeline for all this stuff is, right? I mean, I don't really understand what could possibly be in there that is delaying the release of these documents. Or are they far greater and far more damaging than we've been led to believe? And that has been where the lack of communication is coming from. And that's why we haven't gotten them yet. So it'll be interesting to see what's actually in them. So I hope that we get them in full, unredacted, and we see the names and we see exactly what went on. Because I think that's important to the American people to know, to understand, and to start to heal from a lot of these incidents that have happened. I mean, it has been decades since the JFK assassination, since Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, right? But we still haven't totally healed from all of that, right? We haven't moved on, clearly. There's like a documentary that comes out like every year on History Channel that's brand new about new information about the JFK assassination and who was involved, right? People's minds have not been put at rest, and we need to release this so people start to like calm down from all of this and can finally grasp what is reality and what happened in these incidents. So get these files released. Get them out now. All right. Last story of the week. We're keeping it under 30 minutes for this show, folks. So not a whole lot of news today, to be completely honest with you. So last story of today. I saw this headline and I was sad. I was sitting right here in this chair, but I saw this headline and I was like, I was like sitting and I was like sad. Okay, when I saw this. Not that I'm surprised, but here's the headline. All right. So DNI Tulsi Gabbard says she's firing more than 100 Intel employees who took part in obscene sex chat rooms. More than 100? More than 100? What is going on in these chat rooms? Okay, so let's read through the story. All right. So Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard announced Tuesday night that she was dismissing more than 100 employees of the U.S. intelligence community who participated in obscene, pornographic, and sexually explicit chat rooms on a government messaging board. You can't make this stuff up, people. Gabbard told Fox News' Jesse Waters Primetime that these spooks who were exposed by conservative activist Christopher Rufo for having discussed their fetishes and sexual fantasies on the National Security Agency Interlink platform had committed, quote, an egregious violation of trust. When you see what these people were saying, she told Waters, they were brazen in using an NSA platform intended for professional use to conduct this. Kind of really, really horrifying behavior. And they were brazen in doing this because when was the last time anyone was really held accountable? She asked. Certainly not over the last 4 years. Certainly not over the last 10, maybe 20 years. As we look at some of the biggest violations of the American people's trust in the intelligence community. No kidding. No kidding. So I'm not going to read what it was they were saying in these chat rooms because I don't want to get censored on YouTube. So the link is in the description. If you want to go and read this article for yourself, you scroll on to the bottom. There's some excerpts from some of these chats if you'd like to see them for yourself. But my jaw was dropped for a lot of them. But she's absolutely right. When was the last time someone in the intelligence community was held accountable for anything that they did, right? Let alone talking about their kinks in a professional chat room. And they should be fired. Over 100 people partaking in this? What was going on? Who are these people? I kind of want to see their faces, honestly. I bet they look like exactly what we think they look like, if I had to guess, right? Let's be so for real right now. So, I mean, good for Tulsi Gabbard getting rid of these people. We don't need them in our federal government. And what I swear, some people have such audacity to go and use professional channels that are clearly being monitored to go and discuss ridiculous things. This happened every now and then when I've had jobs that had their own, messaging app attached to it, right? Whereas it's all being monitored by HR, right? I want to know how long this has been going on for. How long has this sex chat room been around? When was it created? Why was it created? And what was happening inside of it? I need more details, but I also don't want to know the details. I think that might actually be better left unsaid. I don't need to hear all the details involving that, but yeah, that's that. So, thank you all for joining us today. We're actually under time. We're only at 27 minutes. We really flew through the stories today. There wasn't all that much news to be discussed today as it was. So, I hope you all have a great weekend. Hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Thank you so much for spending the last half an hour with me. If you're not currently subscribed to the show on Rumble and on YouTube, go and give us a subscribe there. Okay, give us some likes, give us some follows. Show us some love in the comments and everything. Right? If you're not following me on X, you can follow me at Homonatian. If you're not following me on Instagram, you can follow me at Homonatian. If you're not following me on TikTok, you can follow me at Homonatian. Are you getting the trend here? Right? We're on all the platforms: Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, Rumble. Follow me on all those platforms at that username. Our show is on Rumble at Spin Cycle Live. Follow the official Spin Cycle Live X page at Spin Cycle Live. You can go and find it on my account as well. Link it right there in my bio. If you're watching this on a platform, you're like, man, I really wish you all were on a different platform. Click my bio in the description of my X page. You can see, you can watch on Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, X. You can watch on any platform you want to. We're all out there. If you missed the episode, if you're getting here late, you can go back on YouTube. You can go back and watch the playback on X. You can go back and watch the playback on Rumble if you want to see the amazing stories we talked about today. But we will have so much more to cover for you next week. Hopefully, I will have gotten a haircut by then, so I'm not having hair flopping around all over the place. I got this long hair. It's getting in my face. It's getting to be too much. Ready for it to go away. I shake my head and it bumps around, right? There's so much up there right now. I need less hair on my head right now. Right, ready to get a haircut. But I love you all so much. Try and stay warm out there if it's still cold by where you live. If you're here in the Midwest, hopefully you're getting some nice warmer weather like we are. And I've heard in the South, you guys are beautiful as always. But you're all such beautiful, beautiful people. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I love you so, 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 so much. And I will see you back here on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, for the next installment of Spin Cycle Live. With that, I have been Nathan Hale. Peace out.